Boys, I still got a cold. I'm sorry. If I knew a way to cure myself, believe me, I would. Somebody commented the other day and said, hey man, how come you're always sick? It's children. That's what it is, man. Kids are quite literally a walking incubator of bacteria. So yeah, just wanted to give you the rundown on that one. Let's get into this build. Hunter mains, you are going to be a fan of today's build. Now, I will say today's build does require a lot more on the precision side. Essentially, boys, we are taking Bottom Tree Gunslinger, combining it with the re-emerged pulse rifle Bad Juju, and pairing it with the exotic armor piece Celestial Nighthawk. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Juju on that beak.
Juju on that beat. Juju on that beat. Juju.
No, I'm not proud of this name. I didn't choose this name, okay? My wife did. You see, guys, she does all of the artwork here when it comes to our thumbnails. And she does a phenomenal job. And I sent her the stuff last night. I told her the name I wanted to go for. I woke up this morning to make this video. She had already left for the day to go shoot a wedding. And I read Juju on that beak. And since I don't know my way around Photoshop, it appears that that will be the name for this build. Good Lord. By the way, shout out to my wife, guys. She's actually super hilarious. You can find her on Instagram or Facebook at Shotography. She runs a kick-ass photography business. Many thanks to you guys. But yeah, would love it if you guys could check her out. All right, we've kind of like gotten off the beaten path here. Let's get to what the hell we're talking about today, which is this build. First up, let's go over Bottom Tree Gunslinger. This is a very interesting class. We're actually going to be comparing damage between all three Gunslinger subclasses. So we're actually going to be comparing damage between this and Blade Barrage, Top Tree Gunslinger, and of course Celestial Nighthawk as well. But the main thing to take away from this subclass, the thing that's making it such a lethal one to combine here with this build, is the perk Practice Makes Perfect. Enter a trance with each precision hit, reducing the cooldown of your super. Now this is actually a pretty neat little perk. As you land precision hits, you obtain stacks of Practice Makes Perfect. And of course, this stacks all the way up to 5. But how much does this perk actually trim down our super? This part was very interesting. I actually sat in and shot Greg over and over again, which is another beautiful thing about this perk. It procs not on kills, but just simply precision hits. But from start to finish, our super regeneration here was 1 minute and 30 seconds nearly. 1.5 minutes, boys. Now, I do have 5 super mods. This is on High Knees account because I wanted to see how fast we can actually get our super back. And this man has everything. But essentially, a character with 5 super mods trims our super down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's just sitting there AFK. With the perk Practice Makes Perfect, this just trimmed our super down by 2 entire minutes. 2 entire minutes, not even getting kills. This is just simply landing precision hits. This is incredible, boys. Like, going into this, I didn't know how strong this perk actually was or how big of a role it actually played. But seeing tangible numbers here and how much it reduces the cooldown of our supers, it's incredible. Now, being on Bottom Tree Gunslinger, there's a number of things that will enhance your damage, especially when it comes to damaging bosses or even if it's just gunning down high health targets. As the perk Crowd Pleaser, which is found on this class, enables precision damage with your golden gun, which makes Celestial Nighthawk here an obvious exotic to pair with this subclass, as it comes with the exotic perk Hawkeye Hack. Modifies Golden Gun to fire a single high damage shot. Also, enemies eliminated by a shot explode and grant you super energy. Now, the AoE explosion is a pretty decent size. Like, if you happen to kill a major off, it'll kill the surrounding enemies as well. But the amount of super that we get back is approximately 1/3 of our super. And I can't remember which Sandbox actually made this update to Celestial, but this was an excellent change because essentially before, everyone would just save their supers for the damage phase, right? No one would use it for anything because it took too long to get your super back. But being able to retain at least 33% of your super adds a little fluff there, a little bit of forgiveness to get our supers back. Now, of course, the obvious weapon to pair here, guys, is Bad Juju with Strings of Curses. Honestly, guys, there's no better weapon here to pair with this subclass than Bad Juju. Essentially, kills refill the magazine. You also get that increase in damage, but also it grants us super energy based on the strength of String of Curses. So there's one thing working against this subclass. It was Practice Makes Perfect for the most part, would stack up to 5 times, but between reloads, we would lose that buff. That small duration of time would be enough for that buff to go away. With something like Bad Juju that auto refills after every single kill, This means as long as you're landing precision hits, that buff will never be dropped, thus maintaining that ×5 super regeneration. On top of that, we've got Bad Juju with String of Curses, essentially cutting our super regeneration time in half as long as you're getting consistent kills. Again, similar to our previous build with Chaos Reach and Ionic Traces, you've got two things that are both double dipping and feeding you super energy. Now, is this build worth using inside of PvP? Well, guys, not really. I mean, Celestial Nighthawk limiting our golden gun shot down to just one shot really cuts our super back. Yes, we get a chunk of our super back upon kills, but it's just one and done. Realistically, everything about this build would be completely acceptable inside of something like PvP, minus Celestial Nighthawk. You might need to rock something else, another exotic that just helps you out more in your neutral game. I was giving Foe Tracer a spin earlier. Again, just use whatever exotic you want. Bad Juju and Bottom Tree Gunslinger is a combo that's extremely deadly all on its own, but Celestial is just not an exotic I would bring inside of PvP. Now, PvE, this is when things get interesting. You see, I've never really sat down and started comparing numbers between all of the Gunslinger classes, especially when we start pairing things like Celestial Nighthawk with them. But essentially, guys, for Top Tree, which is our 6-shooter, on someone like Greg, which it does not do precision damage, we're doing 3,988 damage per shot for a total of 23,928. So like barely half of Greg's health here. This subclass is excellent for clearing large amount of ads and is a great subclass for PvP. But for damage, no, it is not the subclass to be using. Now, Blade Barrage was an interesting one. It's really hard to tell how much damage Blade Barrage does because there's just so many numerical values. But after clearing out all the ads near Greg, to where it was just me and Greg, mano a mano, I was able to pretty much knock him down to his bottom bar of health, or almost to it. Now, Bottom Tree Gunslinger without Celestial, this one was interesting. The damage values actually went from 8,639 to 12,596 to its final shot being 16,421 for a total damage of 37,656. Now, the reason why that damage increased with each consecutive precision shot is because of the perk Line 'em Up. Precision hits with Golden Gun increases its damage and extends its duration. Now, the percentage increase from the first shot to the second shot was actually a 46% increase. And from the second shot to the third shot, it's actually a 30% increase. So it actually tapers off a little bit, kind of like a bell curve, which I found pretty interesting. But you can see that it barely leaves enough health there on Greg. Now, Bottom Tree with Celestial Nighthawk does just one precision shot at 51,834 damage. So when comparing Top Tree to Bottom Tree Celestial, you see how much Celestial increases our damage. And again, Blade Barrage is right there in between Top Tree and Bottom Tree. Of course, the benefit of Blade Barrage, especially if you're combining with Shards of Galanor, is the super regeneration time after landing multi-kills, and of course the ability to be able to spread around Blade Barrage to hit multiple targets. I found this to be very interesting though, guys, because I've never really dived deeply into Celestial Nighthawk and how much it actually increased damage. So for PvE, yes, this build would be a great build to use. Celestial Nighthawk gives such a huge increase there to damage, and even though I feel like there is some supers that can outweigh it in total damage, in terms of damage per second, there really is no better setup than this one. Again, one shot. The moment you get it off, you get that huge chunk of damage, and immediately you can swap to Wendigo or Swarm or some other weapon and continue unloading damage. So that's like the trade-off with Celestial. Yes, there's other supers, especially something like Chaos Reach with Geomax, that has more total damage overall, but of course it requires a longer duration there. So Juju on that Beak, an excellent build for PvE. I will say though that this build does require lots of precision, which may throw some of us off. That's just the bottom gunslinger way, man. It is all about landing some precision shots, whether you're in your super or you're just landing shots with your weapon. So if you cannot land precision hits, this is not the build for you. And I will say there is some challenging times when landing a precision shot, even with Golden Gun, can be challenging, man. There's a lot of bob and weave with some of these bosses. They can throw that shot off pretty good. So that's really the only downside to this entire build, is the requirement for precision pretty much at all times. So be prepared for that. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.